Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, All Things Taylor, with yours truly for Q&A Wednesday. It's going to be wicked. So I think about half of the questions for tonight came from my YouTube channel and the other half came from my Twitter. So be sure you guys are following me on my verified platforms, because you never know when I'm going to take a fan question that I asked on one of my social media platforms and actually answer it for you guys right here on my YouTube channel. So tell your friends, like, comment, subscribe, share, and also make sure you guys comment below with your questions for the chance to be featured for next week's Q&A Wednesday. You just never know, and I'm far more likely to see if you comment on these videos below. So let's get right down to it. Someone asked me, what is the coolest gift that I have ever received? This is from my YouTube channel. Immediately, I don't know. I know that this person's probably not expecting this answer, but it came to Homegirl's mind like immediately. When I read this question, what's the coolest gift you've ever received? And I was like, my life. And I know that's like such an odd answer, but hear me out. You know, when you've gone through life and you've just felt so alone, like you don't matter, your life doesn't matter, your dreams don't matter, nothing you do and how hard you try, none of it matters, and you just feel so low and so lonely and stupid and unworthy and just this cacophony of negative emotions. It's a really humbling sort of experience to go through, and it's such a lonely road that you have to walk on. And so for me, experiencing that and coming out the other side, being able to hold my head high, love myself as best I can every day, which is, you know, it takes daily practice, and finding, you know, the courage to just be free with my authenticity and show the world who I am and my character, meaning who I truly am as a person. That's one of the best experiences that was terrible that I could have ever gone through. It made me the woman that I am today. And you know, when my mom found out that she was pregnant with me, she had a choice and she chose to have me, and I will forever be grateful for that decision that she made. So to be honest with you, my life is the greatest gift that I have ever been given, and I don't want to waste it. I want to make it count and try and attempt all the dreams I ever had since I was a little girl. So yeah, that's basically me. That's what I thought of as soon as I read that question. So I'm sorry if that's not what you intended, but that's what immediately came to my mind. It was like, another person on my YouTube channel asked me, what is some of my guilty indulgences as far as food? Well, I love some food. However, I've been like body shamed and bullied for years. And I remember one of the comments was like, yo, how much road food has Taylor Hendricks been eating? This was after I did a show in Texas. And I never forgot that. And I was just like, dude, I diet like constantly these days, like all the time. Like, you know, you never know what's going on in somebody's life, whether it's health issues or anything else that, you know, makes somebody look the way they do, you know. And so for me, I'm very careful with my indulgences, but I also think small indulgences actually keep you on a good diet plan. And it's a good habit. So for me, one of my major indulgences that I love so much that I invested in was Wendy's. Oh, girl loves some Wendy's. Oh, back to the handy dandy notebook. Okay. Yeah, Wendy's, y'all. Love it. And like, I love like little snacks and like some of those home recipes that you grew up eating as a kid, and so you kind of get transported back to when you were a kid when you eat them. Definitely those as well, those recipes. Someone asked me on my YouTube channel, how long did it take me to come up with my wrestling name, Taylor Hendricks? The answer is, I didn't. I cannot take credit for that, to be quite honest with you guys. When I was not even a handful of years in the business, I had made the decision that I wanted to try to evolve my character and kind of reinvent myself. And so I remember talking to this guy. He was a referee and a booker / promoter of one of the major upper New England area promotions back in that time. I think he's actually still a referee today, so that's really funny, really cool to see him doing his thing. And I remember telling him, you know, I want to break away from my goth character that I have and try to start this newer character. And it's really funny because fast forward, you know, years later, I'm like this really cool gothy Taylor Hendricks, Madam Hydra sort of character. So I kind of went back to my roots and my personality as like a metalhead. But anyway, neither here nor there. So I remember telling him, you know, I want to be like this modern pop culture hippie sort of character, you know, like a Goonies Never Say Die, hardcore happiness, and, you know, I had all these like funny hashtags and everything, wearing neon colors and tassels and stuff, and I even had like these really cool hippie boots that I ended up giving to a guy OVW later on who had like a 70s hippie character. But anyway, and so I guess he went home, and for some reason, you know, he said he was talking to his girl, and I popped into his head, and he kept replaying the conversation he had with me, and him and her started talking back and forth, and then as he says it, all of a sudden he was like, Taylor Hendricks. And so the next time I was booked on one of their shows, I'm coming out, and I am not ready for my new character at all. I'm wearing black, trimmed in white, and with a purple top. And and they announced me as Taylor Hendricks, and I am not ready for this character at all. They shot it on me without telling me, right? So I'm coming out to this like rock music. I think it was Flyleaf, and and from then on, Taylor Hendricks was born. I have had that name ever since. And when I went to OVW, it didn't even occur to me that I could change my name, because I had already been in the business for a little over 5 years at that point. And then I possibly could have changed my name when I went to TNA and Ring of Honor, and I didn't. I've just always kept that name ever since, Taylor Hendricks. And that's how they originally billed me, as from Seattle, Washington, because when Taylor Hendricks first started breaking into Ring of Honor, back when there was like Sarah Del Rey, Mischief, and Daisy Hayes, and Awesome Kong and stuff like that, that was a crazy locker room. Cesaro was there, Seth Rollins was there, Sami Zayn was there, Kevin Owens was there, Austin Aries was there, Colt Cabana was there, Roderick Strong was there. I think Bobby Fish was like in and out at that time. That was a crazy locker room, so much talent. But anyway, I remember they were like, where are you from, Taylor Hendricks? And I was like, I'm from New Bedford, Massachusetts. And they were like, nobody knows where that is. Nobody knows New Bedford. And I was like, well, Boston? And they're like, oh, that's too cliche for somebody from Massachusetts. And then I remember it was Bobby Cruz, who was the ring announcer for Ring of Honor at that time. And he was like, somebody, her last name is Hendricks. Where's Jimi Hendrix from? And somebody yells from the corner of the arena, Seattle, Washington. And then he was like, all right, Taylor Hendricks, you are from Seattle, Washington. I was just like, okay. And so for like a couple of years after that, I announced myself as from Seattle, Washington. So that's another fun behind the scenes story that I think I will cut up and actually put on this YouTube channel for like behind the scenes Sunday or something. So that's how I got my name. I cannot take credit for it. I did not come up with it, but I stuck with it. And now you guys all know it. It's on my books, it's on my podcast, and you know, it's on this YouTube channel, and in the magazine that I'm writing for, and all kinds of other stuff. I am Taylor Hendricks. So shout out to that referee. You know who you are, man. Okay, someone asked me where was I when I found out about the death of Miss Elizabeth or Mr. Perfect and so forth and so on. The one I remember was Mr. Perfect. I remember, I think I was in high school at the time, and I was still like taping wrestling off of the TV onto VHS tapes so I could study the tapes later. I had shelves and shelves and shelves of just footage to watch all the time to study. I told you guys, I love wrestling. I always studied tape, always. I always loved the craft. Anyways, and I remember I was taping an episode, I don't know if it was Raw or SmackDown or whatever, and they did the memorial announcement of Mr. Perfect, and I like broke down. I was like, no. Because I just loved his work so much. Like, I never once saw him miss that darn piece of gum. He was just so, I don't know, larger than life, which is to me what wrestling should be. You know, characters should be larger than life. So I'll never forget that. I was in my bedroom in Massachusetts as a high school student. I had already finished my homework. I was watching wrestling while I was taping it onto a VHS tape, and that's how I found out about the death of Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. What is my favorite wrestling documentary? This is from my YouTube channel as well. And the answer is I don't really have one. I really like Dark Side of the Ring. I think it's very informative to a larger, wide array of an audience, I guess. But I don't think I have a particular favorite. I don't. Let me see. This one comes from Twitter. They asked me who are some women in wrestling right now that I think are just crazy talented. And the answer is I have quite a list, but I feel very honored to not only be a professional wrestler in this industry, but to also be able to call myself and say that I worked really hard for this title. I am a published author. I'm a 3 times over, soon to be 4 times over published author. Who would have thought that, you know? And it's just amazing. And what I love about those two things is it combines 2 loves of mine from my childhood, and I get to give back to an industry that I have been in since I was 17 years old. And the reason why I say this is because Fightful.com, who I'm a contributing writer for, they recently launched a magazine that comes in both digital and print copy. And I wrote for their first issue, and I wrote for their second issue, and their second issue actually came out this week. And part of my job for that magazine is writing about women in wrestling. And so I feel so like honored and like tickle me pink to be able to be giving back to women that are gonna, you know, be something in this industry someday that I see potential in. I think that is really cool, you know, to be able to have that writing experience, but they're also unique experience of being a professional in this industry for over half my life at this point. So I think that's really cool. I'm very humbled by that. So with that being said, this issue is called the Future Watch Feature. That's what I'm writing for their magazine. And I highlighted 3 women from different parts of the globe, basically, that I think are the future of women's wrestling that are breakout stars in 2021. One of them is the Pink Dream, Alex Gracia. I think she is crazy talented. I've had her on my podcast, Talks with Taylor Hendricks. Another one is Nina. I think she's just a really awesome, young, feisty Filipina who is pretty much helping bring women's wrestling and women's combat sports to the forefront, along with a handful of other women in the Philippines, which is still sort of in its infant stages as far as women's combat sports, like pro wrestling. So I think that's really cool. And Queen Aminata, from you know, Africa to the United States and Canada to Japan. I think this girl is just on the way up, 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 and up. Like, I love her presence. I love her gumption. To me, all 3 of these women are just so talented. Let me see. There's so many women rushing to my brain that I'm trying to slow my brain down to kind of be able to spit out their names. Like, let me see here. I think Billie Kay is insanely talented. It's not easy to be funny. You can have the best comedy writers in the world. It does not make the person trying to deliver the content funny. I think she's very charismatic and very funny and very versatile in her talent. So I can't wait to see what she does next. We recently started following each other on Twitter. I definitely want to see what Jessie Bouquet does next, for sure. I think Cece Chanel is very talented and very underrated. I saw her in a match against Camille Brickhouse at NWA, and I was very impressed by both ladies. I also think Camille is going to be a force to be reckoned with very, very soon. Guys, I could do a whole video just on that, so I don't want to waste this whole Q&A Wednesday. So if you want more information on who I think is talented, definitely comment below. But that was a great question. Thank you, Twitter. Another person on Twitter asked me, are there any female wrestlers or females in the business that are particularly supportive of me? Yeah, there are a few, and some of them may surprise you. Vicky Guerrero has been a huge supporter of mine and a huge source of just positivity, support, admiration, and friendship. I'm very thankful to know her and to see the woman that she is becoming and has fought to be. I think is amazing. I can't wait for her book to come out. Another woman who's very supportive of me is the former inaugural WWF Women's Champion, Tag Team Champion, I should say, Princess Victoria. She has been extremely supportive of me, whether it's my wrestling. She was particularly fond of a lot of my matches and my character development that I did at Ring of Honor. And she's been very supportive of my writing, from my children's books through my Fightful contributions and so forth. Mickie James, I get along with Mickie James so well. You know, we had this really long talk one of the last times I was at Shimmer, and, you know, we both just talked about how we want to make the wrestling industry better than how we came into it, and I just think that that's a really humble and grateful attitude to have. I feel very blessed to have her support and her encouragement. Let me see, Casey Catal. that girl stuck by me when nobody else would, and I thought that that took a lot of guts and gumption, because she is very young in the business, and that could have been, you know, career suicide for her. And I'm very glad to see that she is persevering and she stuck by me, and I think that's amazing. And I think that that girl, you know, she's not just a survivor, she's a thriver. You know, she is fulfilling her dreams despite having an autoimmune disease, and I think she's very inspirational and highly underrated. Another woman who has fiercely had my back, and she's so amazing, and I also feel underrated, and I just love her macabre soul and just her vibe and so much about her. I think she is just a really amazing human being who's come so far in life and in figuring out who she truly is and what she wants out of life. Shelly Martinez, I am very, very thankful for her. Another woman who I adore and I look up to, and I'm really thankful to call her a friend, is honestly Mercedes Martinez. I love her. I am inspired by her, and I'm loving getting to see firsthand, watch her crush her goals and represent everything that she's fought so hard to be over the last 20 plus years. Is amazing. And another woman who has stuck by me and has helped me feel confident in my journey to become the woman that I am talking to today is former TNA knockout Roxy Laveau, also known as Nikki Rocks. She's been a huge source of support and helping lift me up, and I'm grateful for these women. I'm sure there's some other women, but those are the women that immediately come to mind, and I feel very blessed by that. I also have a really good online relationship with Lana and Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott and Asuka and Becky Lynch and Alex Gracia and quite a few other women. The last question was, what are some, I've answered this before, but I don't expect people to go back to like 3 months worth of Q&A Wednesdays, although feel free. So I'll just answer it again. What are some of the worst injuries I've ever had? Had a lot of them. I have had my, I got hit so hard in the nose that it didn't break my nose, it deviated my septum. I don't know how that happened, but it did. Let me see, I've dislocated my shoulders in matches and still managed to finish my matches, including a tombstone pile driving my opponents safely. I have never once hurt anyone with my tombstone pile driver finisher, which is crazy, right? I have fractured an ankle in one of my matches. Let's see, I was hit over the back of the head without knowing that it was coming to a steel chair. I got really concussed. I also got Northern Lights suplex onto my skull twice in a row and in one match. And let's see, I was kicked in the back where my neck, the base of my neck meets my skull, where they meet, twice. That gave me a double concussion 2 times in a row. That also paralyzed me for a few seconds and I went blind. Speaking of blind, somebody drilled my head so hard into the mat with a short arm clothesline that I was blind in one eye by the time I left the match, and I couldn't see out of that eye until 24 hours later. 12 to 24 hours later. And that in that same match, the girl cupped me, slapped me so hard in the ear, which is a huge no-no. I was deaf for several months in that ear, and I never regained full hearing loss. There's nerve damage. However, I am very lucky that it did not rupture my eardrum, because it could have. It probably should have. But I do have nerve damage all the same. Let's see. Oh, I had somebody close steam my skin off. Which is something we talked about a little bit on this podcast. That was gnarly. It was like House of Wax on my leg. And then I had to go out on live for ROH TV while my skin is dripping off of my body. That's a fun story. I think I've had about 6 concussions, possibly more. I don't really know. Yeah, there's been quite a few injuries. So yeah, there's been a lot of injuries since I was 17 years old in wrestling. Oh yeah, I also had my kneecap dislocate. Matt Taven was the first one to see it on footage when we were both breaking into Ring of Honor back in the day when Adam Pearce was still the booker. He's now in WWE. I think in a storyline with Sonya Deville. Anyway, he was the first one to be like, oh my gosh, Taylor Hendricks. And then I remember Jim Cornette was like, no, not baby, Taylor, because I was so young that, you know, I was like a baby. My kneecap, somebody hit me in the corner so hard their body came into my knee that my kneecap like dislodged and floated to the back of my leg, and my leg was like stuck like this, and like I collapsed down. And I remember in the footage I go, and nobody really understands why. That was why. That footage is actually on YouTube, and that's the reason for that. Yeah, the person's body, they didn't explain to me how to take it. I've never taken it before, and so I took the turnbuckle the way I normally would and was selling, and then opened back up, you know, so I wasn't watching the person do something to me, which is very old school training. Anyways, yeah, and the person hit me so hard that my kneecap, the top of my kneecap went behind my leg, and I had to wait for it to pop back into the front part of my leg where it was supposed to be. Yeah, I've had a lot, and I think wrestling is actually a huge contributor to why I had lung disease, restrictive lung disease. So yeah, there's been a lot of crazy injuries. I could do a whole video on that as well. I've also seen a lot of very gnarly injuries. Like I've helped people stitch their skin up and glue their skin back together and all kinds of stuff. I've pulled thumbtacks out of people and seen broken bones protruding through skin, broken orbital bones and veins and all kinds of gnarliness. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Q&A Wednesday with Taylor Hendricks. Be sure to tell your friends, like, comment, share, subscribe. To all of my new subscribers on this YouTube channel, welcome. You guys are in for a huge fun journey that we are all taking together as part of the Taylor Unlearn community. Be sure to check out my children's books on Amazon. It's Not Easy Being a Sloth by Taylor Hendricks. A Fish with a Wish is Trish by Taylor Hendricks, and my most recent, Nosy Rosie and the Secret Surprise by Taylor Hendricks. All are available for you on Amazon with the option to buy for others, where when you are buying it, you click on the buy for others option, you enter the person's email that you want to send it to, and it sends them a redeemable copy right through to their email. Be sure to follow me on Twitter with @Taylor_Hendricks, as well as on Instagram with @TaylorHendricksROH. If you are interested in purchasing your own copy of the Fightful Magazine issue #2 that I talked about earlier on this episode, I will put both links below for your digital and your print copy, where you can see all of the amazing things that I said about women's wrestling, and most specifically Alex Gracia, Queen Aminata, and Nina.